It started subtly, like a faint tremor before an earthquake. A new perfume, sweet and clawing, hung in the air after she left for work. "Just a sample," she said, waving a small vial at me dismissively. Then came the late nights at the office, the urgent projects that seemed to crop up with increasing frequency. Her phone, usually discarded carelessly on the nightstand, now remained clutched in her hand, vibrating with hushed whispers late into the night. I dismissed my own suspicions at first, attributing them to stress and overwork. I was being paranoid, I told myself. Blair, my wife of 5 years, could never. She laughed at my crazy theories, her blue eyes sparkling with amusement. "You're watching too many thrillers," she teased, her hand resting briefly on my arm. But the tremor persisted, growing stronger, shaking the foundations of my trust. The doubt gnawed at me, a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. I found myself doing things I never thought I'd do, checking her phone while she slept, scrolling through messages and call logs, searching for a tangible sign of my imagined betrayal. I found nothing concrete, just vague texts from colleagues and friends, innocent on the surface but laced with a hidden meaning I couldn't decipher. Each fruitless search left me feeling increasingly guilty and ashamed, yet unable to stop. One night, Blair returned from a particularly late work dinner, her cheeks flushed, her perfume even stronger than usual. The lie hung in the air between us, thick and suffocating. While she showered, I succumbed to the insidious temptation. My trembling fingers unlocked her phone, the familiar chime echoing the guilt in my heart. This time, I found them, a series of text messages, explicit and undeniable, exchanged with a number I didn't recognize. The words blurred before my eyes, a sickening cocktail of endearments and plans, secret rendezvous and whispered promises. My world tilted on an axis, my stomach churned, a cold dread spreading through my veins. The tremor had become an earthquake, shattering the fragile landscape of my marriage. I wanted to scream, to confront her, to demand answers. But something held me back. A cold, calculating rage began to simmer beneath the surface of my shock. I meticulously documented everything. Screenshots, timestamps, every digital breadcrumb of her betrayal carefully preserved. I backed up the messages, creating a digital fortress of evidence. The rage simmered, a slow burn fueled by the injustice of it all. I felt like a detective in my own life, piecing together the fragments of shattered reality. That night, we had dinner with friends, Lisa and Tom, our closest couple friends, oblivious to the storm raging within me. As we ate, the conversation drifted to relationships, to the challenges of maintaining intimacy in a busy world. With a forced smile plastered on my face, I steered the conversation towards infidelity. I presented it as a hypothetical scenario, a casual musing on the complexities of human nature. Blair, ever the picture of innocence, launched into a passionate diatribe against cheating. Her words dripped with feigned indignation, her eyes wide with manufactured sincerity. She condemned the act, the betrayal, the sheer cruelty of infidelity. It was a performance worthy of an Oscar, and for a moment I almost admired her audacity. This was the point of no return. The rage, suppressed for hours, now threatened to erupt. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to remain calm. With a chillingly sweet smile, I asked her, "Do you want to hear what real cheaters' text messages sound like?" My voice was steady, betraying none of the turmoil within. The bait was set, the trap sprung, the look of confusion on her face, the flicker of unease in her eyes. It was almost satisfying. I watched her closely, savoring the anticipation. The casual chatter around the table faded into the background, the clinking of cutlery replaced by the deafening roar of the approaching storm. Her carefully constructed facade began to crumble, the first cracks appearing in her perfect mask of innocence. The air thickened with a palpable tension, a silent premonition of the devastation about to unfold. I could almost taste the bitter sweetness of revenge. Her face, moments before animated and full of righteous anger, drained of color. The vibrant blue of her eyes dulled, replaced by a widening panic. Her hand, resting casually on the table, clenched into a white-knuckled fist. A nervous laugh escaped her lips, a brittle, unconvincing sound. What do you mean?" she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. I pulled out my phone, the screen illuminating the damning evidence. "I mean these," I said, my voice low and steady, each word a hammer blow against her carefully constructed facade. I began to read the messages aloud, slowly, deliberately, savoring each syllable like a fine wine. The explicit words, the intimate details, hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. The initial amusement on Lisa and Tom's faces evaporated, replaced by a growing discomfort. They exchanged uneasy glances, their laughter dying in their throats. The atmosphere shifted, the convivial dinner party transforming into a scene from a macabre play. The clinking of forks against plates ceased, the only sound the steady rhythm of my voice reciting the litany of Blair's betrayal. With each message, Blair's denials grew weaker, her stammering protests more desperate. "It's not what it looks like," she gasped, her voice choked with panic. "They're taken out of context." Her eyes darted around the table, searching for an ally, a lifeline, but finding only shocked silence. "Oh, really?" I asked, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let me provide some context then. These messages were exchanged with Jeremy Collins, your colleague, the one you've been working so late with." The silence that followed was deafening. Blair's breath hitched in her throat, a strangled sob escaping her lips. Her eyes, wide with terror, met mine. In that moment, I saw the mask finally shatter, revealing the raw, ugly truth beneath. She knew she was caught. There was no escape. She bolted, pushing her chair back with a screech. She scrambled to her feet, knocking over a glass of wine in her haste. The red liquid spilled across the white tablecloth, a symbolic stain on the remnants of our shattered marriage. Without a word, without a backward glance, she fled the restaurant, disappearing into the night. I watched her go, a strange sense of calm washing over me. The rage had subsided, replaced by a hollow emptiness. I turned back to Lisa and Tom, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. I explained everything calmly, methodically, laying out the evidence like a prosecutor presenting his case. They listened in stunned silence, their initial disbelief slowly giving way to understanding, then to anger. The next day, I went to Jeremy's office. I didn't have a plan, just a raw, visceral need to confront him. I found him in his cubicle, hunched over his computer, oblivious to the storm about to descend upon him. I didn't waste time with pleasantries. I launched into a tirade, my voice echoing through the open-plan office, drawing curious stares from his colleagues. He initially tried to deny it, stammering out weak excuses, mirroring Blair's pathetic attempts at self-preservation. But I wouldn't let him off the hook. I presented him with the same evidence I'd shown Lisa and Tom, the undeniable proof of their illicit affair. His face paled, his bravado crumbling under the weight of my accusations. The confrontation escalated into a shouting match, drawing a crowd of onlookers. I did care. I wanted everyone to know, to see him for the liar and cheat he was. I exposed their affair to his colleagues, his superiors, anyone who would listen. The news spread like wildfire through the company, whispers turning into murmurs, then into open discussions. Jeremy, once a respected member of the team, was now a pariah, ostracized by his peers, his reputation in tatters. He faced disciplinary action, his career hanging by a thread. I initiated divorce proceedings, ensuring Blair received the bare minimum. She deserved nothing more. Her reputation, like Jeremy's, was tarnished, her carefully cultivated social circle fractured, friendship strained under the weight of her betrayal. The life she had so meticulously crafted, the life built on lies and deceit, was crumbling around her. I didn't revel in her downfall. There was no sense of triumphant revenge, no exhilarating rush of victory, just a quiet sense of closure, a finality that allowed me to begin the slow, painful process of rebuilding my life. The support of my true friends, Lisa and Tom among them, proved invaluable. They rallied around me, offering a shoulder to cry on, an ear to listen, a steady presence in the turbulent aftermath of my shattered marriage. They helped me pick up the pieces, reminding me of my own worth, my own strength. I focused on myself, on healing the wounds inflicted by Blair's betrayal. I rediscovered old hobbies, reconnected with neglected friendships, and began to forge a new path for myself, a path free from the shackles of deceit and betrayal. The pain lingered, a dull ache in my chest, a constant reminder of what I had lost. But it no longer consumed me. I learned to live with it, to accept it as a part of my story, a chapter one could never erase, but one I could learn from. I learned that true strength lies not in the destruction of others, but in the rebuilding of oneself. It lies in the ability to forgive, not for the benefit of the one who wronged you, but for your own peace of mind. It lies in the courage to move forward, to embrace the future, to believe in the possibility of happiness again. It wasn't easy, but with each passing day, the weight on my shoulders grew lighter. The darkness began to recede, and the faint glimmer of a new dawn began to appear on the horizon. The earthquake had passed, leaving behind a landscape scarred but not destroyed. And in the midst of the rubble, I began to rebuild, brick by painful brick, a new foundation, a stronger foundation, one built on honesty, integrity, and self-respect. The journey was long, and the scars remained, but I was no longer defined by the wreckage of my past. I was defined by my resilience, by my capacity to heal, by my unwavering belief in the possibility of a brighter future.